Hey soul family, it's Crystal, Demon Slayer 144. And today I want to talk about demons because if you've looked at any of my other videos, you see that I mention them quite a bit, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason that I've even taken on the title as Demon Slayer, because that is what I believe my mission here on earth is, to slay demons. So, what do I mean when I talk about demons? I didn't know anything about Gnostic Christianity until, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago. Because with my experience growing up as a Christian and then a Muslim and then being initiated into various African-based religions, I pretty much had enough of all of that organized stuff. That just didn't work for me. I'm not saying it doesn't work for anybody else, but it just didn't work for me. So then I started in my feed, I'd be on YouTube or something like that, and I started seeing Gnostic Christianity. And at that, and then it started bringing back some thoughts that I would have when I looked at that. There's that show about Christ. I think it's called The Chosen or Chosen. And so I started, and it's just started giving me this different feel of of the way Jesus probably presented, because by this time I saw so many discrepancies in the Bible. I was like, that the Bible has been created for something else other than the total truth of God. So in reading about Gnostic Christianity, I found that it really, really resonated with me. And that is why, for instance, when I see people talking on social media and they're giving information or doing a tarot reading or anything like that, and they say, well, just take what resonates. That's so important, what resonates, and I say it too. Whatever I say in any video, take what resonates with you and leave the rest. So I started learning about the Gnostic idea of evolution. And it's based on, and I'm just going to be really kind of brief with it, that there was the source, which is the divine intelligence, that which is unknowable. And then it bifurcated itself into this feminine principle called Barbello, and then a male principle. I don't remember the name, but it bifurcated itself. And then from there, it went to these other bifurcations. I don't know. I forget how many, but there were these different bifurcations of this male-female element, kind of yin and yang type thing. And these bifurcations were called aeons. And the aeons, together with the balance of the male and female, they held a certain amount of energy that could create. And so they would create. And so this is where the creations of everything came from. Everything. So one of the female aeons, her name is Sophia, which I guess means wisdom. She decided that she wanted to experience what it was like to create without her male counterpart. And I guess with that thought, or with that intent, she did it. And what she created was this, for lack of a better word, abomination called Yaldabaoth. And according to Gnostic Christianity, Yaldabaoth materialized, and since it was without the proper creation element of the male counterpart, it wasn't whole, and it couldn't create like the aeons could, but it came from Sophia, so it could create, but in a less evolved way. And so what Yaldabaoth created was these forces, these energies called archons. And the archons are what I consider as demons. They're demons. These archons, since Yaldabaoth doesn't have the ability to put the divine spark of God in these eons, not eons, in these archons, then they can't create. But what they can do is use our creative force, because Sophia, in seeing her mistake, was like, oh no, because Yaldabaoth then allegedly created us, humans, but didn't have the wherewithal to put the consciousness of God or the spark of God in us. So Sophia said, I will do that. I will do that because I'm gonna save this creation. And so she put the spark of God, of consciousness, the divine spark inside of us, so we can co-create. The aeons can't, but they are the angels of this false god. I call Yaldabaoth the false god. And the Gnostic belief goes on to show or present Yaldabaoth as the vengeful, jealous, false god that is presented in the Old Testament and the New Testament. The God that, you shan't worship anybody other than me. I'm the only God. And just other wrathful, emotional, vengeful stuff that the true God would never do. Just wouldn't even have anything to do with. But this false God does. And the archons, these demons, they can't create, but they have enough knowledge that they can, if they can control humans, if humans allow it. And to my understanding, what these archons did was they said, oh, Earth, I don't know about any other planet, but Earth is prime for creating a system, this false illusionary matrix of systems and organizations and beliefs that keep people, humans, us, from realizing who we really are, and make it the false reality that you have to do this, and this, and this to succeed or survive or to be happy or any of that. And everything that these false systems they created, it benefits them. Because these archons, they feed off of our negative emotions. And so the systems that they've created, this whole false illusionary matrix that we live in, is designed so that, if we stay asleep, anti-woke, then we feel like we have to do everything, we have to struggle, life is hard, and it's okay and it's sometimes honorable, the thing to do, to engage in anger and jealousy and lust and, you know, fear. Fear is a big one. The fear is huge with the archons. They get the most delicious banquets off of fear, because they create, or basically tell us to create, because they're in other dimensions. They influence us to create situations where fear is prevalent, primarily fear and anger and guilt and shame and all that. Now, my belief, and I know that slowly but surely, based upon the elevation of the vibrations of this planet, based upon the time that we're in right now, and the fact that the time that we're in right now has been prophesied. Because see, the archons have always known that they can't stay here forever. They just cannot. That this reality is cyclic, and it's like, okay, so everything's going to happen a certain way, and as things move, things are going to change to the point of where everything was a certain way and acceptable and all that, okay, that's going to crumble, and a whole new reality is going to happen. And that whole new reality is going to be where these archons have the least control or no control at all. And the other thing that the archons know is that they can never get rid of truth. They can never get rid of truth. They can try to twist the truth, bend it, omit it, but at some point the truth is always going to come out. So with Revelations, it was like, okay, your time is going to be up at some point. But what they did was twist it to be like, they twisted it to the point where people think, well, the end times, because, they're going to happen, the Revelations, all that, but it's going to be Armageddon. And if you are in a certain religion that the archons created, then you may die, but the righteous dead are going to rise up, and the wicked are going to stay and be in some hellscape, and then the body, the actual body of this Jesus, long blonde locks and blue eyes, according to popular perception, is going to come back and fight a demon, and I guess that's going to go on for 1,000 years, and then he's going to win, and then there'll be bliss. And so you've got people who honestly are trying to do the right thing based on this fake matrix information that will knock on your door and go, hey, I'm here to basically save you, and I'm on a mission, I'm a missionary, or whatever, trying to do the right thing. I used to slam the door in their faces, but now, like, why do that? They're trying to do the right thing based on what they believe is the truth. Okay? So, now, the other things these demons have done is, not eons, but say thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, when we call them extraterrestrials, came to Earth, it wasn't even a big thing. Some extraterrestrials, I think nowadays they call them different things, grays or reptilians. Some of these extraterrestrials, the archons got to, and And let me give you an example. So let's say the reptilians. They're like, archons are like, look, why don't you partner? And we know that you actually devour people, humans, you eat people. And so if, we'll create this fake matrix so that you'll be able to do that if you'll partner with us and help us, dim the light or hide the truth from people. And, it's a win-win for both of us. We will be fed the emotions, the negative emotions. You will be actually fed human flesh, and life is good. And as a matter of fact, you'll be put in very high positions. For instance, we'll create this. Now, I'll give you an example. And there's sirens out there, so I feel that's validation. In the spirit realm, there's, like, for instance, royalty. What one would consider royalty or sovereignty. Some of the beings are more advanced or more evolved than others, but not and not only that, but have a greater responsibility to serve, because based on their evolution, they have a greater capacity to allow the energy of the true divine to flow through them to serve, to not only serve the divine, but in serving the divine, to serve humanity. I'm just going to use Earth as an example. Okay, so these entities, based on their spiritual evolution and the capacity of power they can hold to do good, to do the will of God, they are considered royalty, different levels of royalty. Now, Yaldabaoth, the archons know this, but what they did was they were like, you know what, but we can create that on Earth. And what we'll do is this. We'll take that blueprint and we'll create royalty on Earth. Kings and queens and emperors and what other royalty? Dukes and viscounts and czar and czarinas and chieftains and kings and queens and all that. But, because we can't get rid of the truth, there is a such thing as royalty and sovereignty. But what we're going to do is we're going to say, you know what? The people who are in these positions is because they are ordained from God to be in that position. They're just lucky enough to be ordained by God. Nothing about the extent that they've served humanity, which makes humanity want to elevate them to that sovereign or royal level, because the people feel that we love you so much and you've done so much for us. We trust your wisdom so much because you've proven it. So we will see you as sovereign, as royalty, and we will follow you. None of that. More so, it's like you took over a village, you enslaved people, you colonized, you used might, and then when no one could threaten you, no one could knock you off of your pedestal, then you're able to say, you know what? This is where my sovereignty, my royalty is ordained by God. It's ordained by God. So don't question it. Don't question it. Now, when somebody tells you don't question it and don't be curious about something, there's ulterior motives in that. They even put that in the Bible. You know, the tree of knowledge. Because the archons knew. They knew that if we ever woke up to who we really are and who we're really connected to, their game is over. Okay? These demons knew their game was over. So even in the Bible, they put, the origin of humanity, you know, Adam and Eve, they, you know, had bliss in the garden. It was all good. And then they ate of a serpent, you know, the woman. Let's demonize the woman. Why women would even adhere to a religion to where they're demonized, I don't know. But don't get me wrong, I did it. I mean, I grew up as a Baptist Christian. So, you know, let's demonize the woman. It's her fault that she listened to the serpent, which is basically in ancient cultures is a holy thing. It's Kundalini energy. It's that spark of God energy that is in the base chakra, the chakra, and rises up. And if you don't know what chakras are, please Google that. So rises up and it helps us open ourselves to awareness. Now, the archons were like, well, the fact that Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, everything holy, they did the most evil, sinful, wrong thing that they could have ever done. And it was so wrong that rather than live in bliss, Adam was condemned all humanity to have to suffer and toil for whatever goodness they got. And Eve condemned all women to have pain and everything through childbirth. So, of course, if this is what you're fed and this is what you grew up on, you're going to end up believing it, right? So, when the truth all along was that, you know, if you're going to go with the myth, Eve ate of the fruit of knowledge and gave it to Adam to show that, wait a minute, this is an illusion that's starting here. We don't need to toil for any, all we need to do is be in alignment with the Most High. Our natural state of being is bliss and peace and goodness, and allowing the divine to flow through us, to direct us to our highest good. And there is nothing we can't have, and there is no such thing as lack and scarcity unless you believe it. Because we're the co-creators with God, not the archons. They can't do it. But they can slip in our mind and tell us things and rewrite history and create this false matrix. So then we believe it, and then we operate on that level. And then since we're co-creators with God, we sustain that reality. And then the archons are like, you see, it truly is the only way you can live. It's the only blah, 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 blah. So they turn the truth of who we really are and what we could do into a fable, and totally got rid of all the other contradictory information, knowledge, and truth. I mean, burning down libraries and, you know, all that. Killing people who believed in the truth. And with these reptilians, they were like, again, you scratch our back, we're going to scratch yours. And so the reptilians started figuring out, well, you know, who can we partner with? Like humans. Who can we partner with? Now, a lot of ancient and archons as well, but from other dimensions. Who can we partner with to build up this false matrix? And they found certain tribes, certain races, certain groups, certain families who were like, you know what? I desire certain things. And I believe your hype that the only way I could get this, rather than co-creating it in the best way with the highest being, the highest intelligence, there's an easier, faster way, more sure way to get it. And that's to do this, this, and this, which is basically partner with us and create what you want, which, excuse me, supports this matrix, this false illusion of reality. And so you have these, like I said, you have all this royalty, these kings and queens and everything, and these families, these rich families. You'll read about them, I'm sure, if you haven't. These wealthy families, and through their whole lineage, you know, they teach, you know, this is what we have to do. We're, you know, they're pretty clannish. They don't allow a lot of people in there, because through the time these groups and families and people and lineages, from the time they started working with the archons, the reptilians, which I do believe in. If you don't, that's okay. They have trickled that down from that time when it started all the way till today. So when you, let's say, for example, oh, let me back up a little bit. Now, these entities, these demons and people who serve them, things, because I call reptilians things. So the demons and the things and people who serve them to support this false matrix of you know, it's illusion of reality. They created the situation where first they were killing everybody who believed the truth and tried to get rid of all the knowledge. But you're not going to do that, because there's always a higher plan. There's always a higher intelligence that saw all this coming, but allowed everything to happen, because this higher intelligence had to experience everything in order to be whole. So they're trying to make me forget because they don't want me to tell you. So what they did was, at some point, they couldn't keep killing everybody. I mean, example, Christianity, like, just as it's been since Constantine decided, oh, the Holy Roman Empire is getting ready to fall apart, so let me, this new thing of Christianity, well, let me take the parts of Christianity that I like, you know, and let me invite the people who teach the parts of Christianity I like, that resonates with me still being in charge and with, you know, the fall of the Roman Empire, but then we're going to have the rise of the Catholic Church, the Holy Roman Catholic Church, you know, the Holy Roman Church will take the place of the Roman Empire. So true Christianity does not fit that bill. So we're not going to invite anybody to the meeting when we create this new Christianity. We're not going to invite them. And we're going to create the Christianity that's going to support this Holy Roman Empire. And then, okay, now that's done. So now so we're going to destroy, like I said, destroy all the real Christianity, the true Christianity. And we're going to promote, you know, we're going to rewrite everything. We're going to create a Bible, and this is what's what, and da-da-da. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But the truth is always going to come out. So, like I said, under this, I don't want to call it, well, to me, it's the false Christianity. So I'm going to call it the false Christianity, because that's what I believe. I'm speaking my truth. Under the false Christianity, they created all these hierarchies, popes and bishops and, preachers, and I mean, the whole thing. And under this false Christianity, they used it, they weaponized it. So now, like if we see, if we see any blasphemy or what's it called, heresy, we're gonna kill you. Because we're gonna put the fear of our God in everybody, so we have no resistance against our false Christianity. And then that weaponization was used by various groups. The Ku Klux Klan even used it. We're the Knights of Christian blah blah blah, and we do everything. Matter of fact, when we lynch a person, or we want to terrorize a person, which is something, what's Christian about that? There's something God would never do. The real God would never do. We're going to burn a cross. Okay? But humanity has been taught not to question, not to be curious. Like, wait a minute. How are you going to burn a cross? The cross is supposed to be holy and good, and, God, Jesus sacrificed his life to save humanity. How are you going to use a cross for terrorizing? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, it was weaponized. Then, with the evolution of the consciousness of people, that got to be frowned on and looked on, and killing people in the name of God and Christ, in the name of Christianity, got to be, the Salem witch trials, the Inquisitions, and all that. Just, colonization, all that. That was frowned upon. Well, then we've got to use it another way. So what can we do? What can we do? Oh, I know. We can so solidify the idea of what reality is, based on Christianity. And honestly, in my opinion, because I was a Muslim too, even a religion that talks about, oh, if you don't believe in Islam, you're an infidel, and I'm going to kill you, I'm going to murder you for that. God would never do that. No, that's the lower vibrational thought. Any religion that would make a person suffer, even women. Oh, men are higher than women. Men are up here and women are down here. Whether it's because they're evil because of what Eve did, or because we need to protect them because blah, blah, blah. And if they show their hair or show their face or show their arm, then they bring upon sexual blah, blah, blah. That's going to give it, we got to be the caretakers of that, and we got to control their sexuality. All that BS. Been there, done that. Okay? So, but this was all supposed to be divine, from the divine. Okay? One of the only ways that truth started coming out is, like, for instance, people could tell the truth in fiction. Was it nonfiction? No, fiction. Like books and fictional books or poems, Rumi or Khalil Gibran, or all the way up to, The Matrix, K-pop Demon Hunters. All that is the truth. It's the truth. But it's brought out as fiction so that it's, you can choose. Because if you know, you know. So you can look at it and go, oh, that's entertaining. That's fun. Oh, that's so heartwarming, blah, blah, blah. Or you can go, wow, wait a minute. See, The true God gonna get that truth out one way or another. But the demons try to suppress it. They try to suppress it. Because they want to keep doing what they're doing. Even to the point of, which was all prophesied. It's been not only in the Bible, but if you look up Revelation, the Revelation story in other cultures, that Revelation story has been going on for thousands of years before Jesus said it. Because it was always coming. You see what I'm saying? The time is up. The rule of these demons and the things and people who do their bidding, even to the point of, and they're in the reality of, because people want to look at these Epstein files like, oh, some people, and you know who you are. Oh, that's not true. It's not true. But if it served the purpose of what you wanted before they came out, when you were clamoring and demanding they came out and swearing that, yes, that's the truth, we want the Epstein files out. But now, since the Epstein files are out, and now they're showing the truth that you don't want to see, you pulling them blinds down. Oh, well, the Epstein files, it never persecuted. It never said. No, the Epstein files did say. Because them little kids in the Epstein files did say. And they did report it. And they told everything. Not only did they tell everything, but Epstein, even though he was, kind of the Wizard of Oz, the wizard behind the curtain, the truth still had to come out. Now, he was like, well, I'm going to get this truth on them, so if anything happened to me, they going to go down, so, I got my security. But nah, baby, that truth was going to come out. And even though they murked you, that truth was going to come out. Now, if you don't want to see it, like Jesus said, if you don't have, eyes to see or ears to hear, that's on you. And that's okay, because that's where you at. But that stuff in there about the sacrifices, the reptilians, it's all in there. The people eating kids and all that kind of stuff. If you want to believe that that is make-believe, that that is fiction, that it doesn't exist, then bless you, honey. You're just not ready to hear the truth. And that's okay. That's okay. Because you can only be where you are. That's okay. But the rest of us, we going to move on to the truth. We going to see reality for what it is. So that's all the time I'm going to put in this right now, because there's so much more to talk about. Because as a psychotherapist, yes, I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm also a LPCC, licensed professional clinical counselor. Yes, I am. So I'm talking about the esoteric demons, the spiritual demons, but there's also the demons as they appear to us consciously. And hopefully the next video I can get into that. So if what I said resonated with you, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe, get your notifications. And until next time.